Okay, good. We're live there.
Let's go. We're live.
We are live.
Gotta love technology.
All right. I'm not going to do live Instagram because there's a double feed.
Okay.
So let me see. Keelan's there. Keelan, can you hear me? Let's just see what Keelan says first. Keel, respond if you can hear me. Okay, cool. He can. Awesome. All right, we're good. All right, cool, guys. We have a treat again. I'm sorry for the technical difficulty, but Aidelys and we worked it out. So what we're gonna do is just talk to the queen of creative financing, Aidelys, who has done numerous creative financing deals in her lifetime, subject to novations, wholesaling, and what we're gonna do is learn from her how to do that. So if you're an agent out there and you're figuring out, hey, my only tool in my arsenal is to list property and that's it, you're behind. So
Putting the glasses on.
yeah, because listen,
Clark
man.
Kent. Clark Kent. When he puts the glasses on, he lists everyone's home.
Well, this is an age thing. It's because I'm getting old. When
Okay,
when
well,
when when there's a 5 in front of your number, now I need readers. So,
well, that's it.
uh,
Closing glasses. When you have them on, you're closing everybody.
right. So everybody, listen. I've known you for what I guess 5-6 years now. But everybody doesn't know who you are. So let's talk about this. How give me your beginnings and your forays into real estate. How did you get into creative financing and using investing as your primary source of income?
Yeah, cool. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a real estate professional in the South Florida market. So I'm an investor and a real estate agent. So I'm one of those like unicorns that do both and understand both. I started off as an agent, as a buyer's agent. It's actually interesting because I started off with a company that was very investment focused back in the day, back when you could get a lot of deals on the MLS. The market was really hot. And their strategy was just getting deals on the MLS from agents. And
Yeah.
I was always attracted to investing. But in that moment, I didn't give it the time that it needed. And then I started getting buyers and referrals, and my business started growing on the residential side. And I just kind of went with the flow. But my heart was always in investing. And then it took me 5 years, like 5-6 years to find my
Mm,
way back to investing. I did buy some buy and hold properties like in between, like scattered, but I didn't really shift my focus to investing until like the last, I would say like 4 years. And then since then, I've been doing more investing. I would say my business right now is like a good amount of investing and then a small amount of like residential still. So I would say like 70-30, transitioning slowly to 80-20. And the reason why we're doing residential now is because it all feeds into our investment business. Whatever opportunities don't fit our cash model or our creative model
yeah.
goes into the listing bucket. So we're able to grow both sides of the business. So I mean, it works either way. And I think I'm gonna hit the 10-year mark. So I think when I hit 10 years, I'll do like a celebration of like being in real estate for a decade, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, I was a baby when I started. I'm still a baby, but babyer.
You well, that's what I'm saying. I've known you, I guess 5-6 years now, because you were in the role play group that I used to
We
run.
used to role play together.
We
Some
did.
people don't know our backstory, and I hold you very dear to my heart because when I was role playing with you, I had started coaching with Aaron,
Hmm.
and then he was like, "Well, we all know Aaron," and he's like, "You got to get in this role play group," and you were
Yeah.
one of the people that I connected with, and we used to
Hmm.
role play. I think it was 7:30 in the morning, right? We used to role play.
7:30, and then the listing presentation one was 11:30.
11:30. So I learned a lot from you and I got a lot from you because that's like one of your skill sets is like presenting really well and handling
Hmm.
objections and the way you carry yourself. And then we recently reconnected through Elite Builders because I joined the organization and then I was so happy to see you. And it's like a full circle moment because like here we are again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I brought a deal to you, actually.
Yes, we actually just closed a cash deal.
Hmm.
So it's a beautiful. I love real estate and I love this community that we have because everyone's like great and has so much value to bring, and we can do deals with each other and we can teach people. Like it
Yeah.
really is a beautiful thing that we're building.
Yeah, it is. And, to piggyback on that, you were, when you started, you were in residential. You were doing purely residential real estate. And that was your skill set. And then something kind of, you forayed over into the investment side. So like, I guess why creative instead of just sticking with traditional, like, the average agent who does buyers and sellers? Why creative? What drew you to really learning it and wanting to know about it? Because that's your primary source of income now. It's not listing property.
Yeah. So there was this ad. I'm kidding. Do you remember how we all hear those ads on the radio about
Sure.
I had built relationships with other investors, and I actually went to one of those like weekend masterminds that you go to. Not the one we hear like all the ads for, just one that for someone that I've been following for a while. And that kind of lit up my interest again in investing. So whenever they were talking, they did a presentation about talking about subject to, taking over property subject to, seller finance, doing all these things that seem so intricate for me. And then my mind, I was like, damn, how are they doing this? How are they doing these deals in this way? And I think that sparked my interest. And I went and I got fired up. It was in Dallas, I remember. And then I came back and I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into investing. And then I did it for like 2 months. And then I went back to what I was doing. So
yeah. Okay.
Like we all do, right? Like we all go to this events, like whether it's Tony Robbins, and then we're like, this is great. And then you get pumped and then you go back and like reality hits and you get busy. So it took me I think like another year to like really dive into it. And I started doing marketing and ads. What really got me really serious about investing is once I put money behind the business. Because
Yes.
it was just me just doing a couple calls, it was a lot easier for me to say like, hey, you know what? I'm busy on this side of my business. Let me stop this. But once there's money attached to it, then it's like, it's grind time. How can I close these deals? Because now it's costing me something.
Yes.
So the investment more than anything. And then I got like that initial spark from going to that event and just seeing that it was possible, that other people were doing it.
That's awesome. And so it sounds like from what I'm hearing, you've the creative side is something you've always been interested in, and what we do, and we just had a call about this literally half hour ago that I was on, and it's the gaining of knowledge versus the application of knowledge. And most of us love to attain the knowledge and learn about something, but then we don't do anything about it. And that's the big thing here is the action part. You actually took action, put money behind wanting to learn this, so it held you accountable, which is important. So did you ever have mentors? Did you have coaches?
Yeah, so I'm actually, and I always speak because I'm all my mentors. Aaron was actually the person that helped me get really good at talking to sellers and handling objections, and he helped me build like that fortitude and that mental toughness of like getting really good at resistance. So he taught me to like sit there at 8 a.m., call expires, then call FISBOs. Like I went through that cycle as an agent. So by the time I got to calling sellers for like cash offers, or I already had that skill set. What I needed to change to learn more than anything was the conversation. What are the key questions I needed to ask? So, and I've always been a believer of role play. Like, so when I transitioned into investing, I had those same principles. I role played my conversation. So it switched, right? Now I wasn't role playing the listing presentation, but I was still like 8 a.m. in the morning role playing like objections, how to talk to a pre-foreclosure seller, how to talk to someone that's in probate. So I went through, Aaron was a big part of my journey. And then I'm part of a PACES community as well. So I got the knowledge of like what all these different type of strategies are.
Yes.
And then through that community, I built partners, like relationships like yours, like people that wanted to role play and learn and were eager. So that helped me as well. So it's been a series of like really high quality people learning, getting the education, but like the implementation.
Wow.
Key. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, like I'm sure a lot of people know who Pace Morby is. He's probably got various programs. What did you invest into his program?
His main program is a sub 2. It's a sub 2 community. So they go into, all things creative finance. And he also teaches about pretty much everything real estate investing. They do Zoom calls. The biggest thing from the community, yes, I got a lot of value from the education, but the relationships that I built have been I would say like even a bigger impact than the actual learning and the modules and the training. Because if you just sit there and watch a bunch of videos but never implement and are never around people that are doing these deals, then you start to kind of think, okay, maybe this isn't for me. But being around people that are doing it, it just gives you that push and that motivation. And
Yeah.
through his community.
Absolutely. Now, here's a question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but this is, guys, I want you to understand the financial commitment that Aidelys did here. This is what she did. She basically put her money on the table, and now she's like, she closes these deals, you know, multiple deals a month at a time. What was your investment to Pace? And if you don't want to say it, it's okay.
Oh God. So it was a while back. So I know his costs have gone up. So I don't want to like, you know, like undercut him for his, but I think it was around like 13 or 12,
Okay.
something like that. I think prices have changed now. Yeah.
So it's less than 20. So guys, for less than $20,000, she got relationships. She got, but here's the key thing, and we were going to talk about this. She got proximity to Pace and all of his, and she had proximity to Aaron. She had proximity to other people in the org that were helping her learn how to talk to people and sellers. And then what did she do? She took it and put her money behind it, and now she's the queen of it. She's doing these deals every month, guys. But I want,
don't feed my ego. Don't feed my ego.
But I want agents to understand this. I really do. Like, she actually took the knowledge that she had and applied it with money behind it. Not just, yeah, let me dabble on this here and there. You took your money and said, I'm going to learn and be around people that are doing what I want to do. That's the perfect student. And now you're probably mentoring people now.
Yeah, and I think also it's a lot of people, when they see these like high level things like creative finance, you're like, man, that looks really cool, but I don't know if I can do it. So there's also like a reframe of like, that looks really good and really cool. They are doing it. How can I do it? So I've always been of that mindset. If someone is doing it, I can do it too.
Yes.
And what I see with a lot of agents that are introduced to this is they have a lot of limiting beliefs of like, the seller won't do this because of this. The seller will never accept this offer because of that. So I think knowing that there's people that are doing it at a high level in an ethical way, because like all the deals that we do ethically. The sellers are always like happy with the service that we're providing. Is a reframe. How can I do it? Or how can I make it where the seller is now open to this conversation? So mindset is a big thing, and it's a reason why some people succeed or don't succeed. And then putting some money behind it. Now, like I've taken all this education because I've also been part of other masterminds where I learned wholesaling and I learned novation. So like I am a big believer of like, who is the person that's doing what I want to do? And let me just give them money to teach me how to do it at a high level. I did that with Aaron. I've done it with, and then the knowledge I get just in a couple of months from being with someone that has already done it at a high level, I'm able to like skip that learning curve and get there faster. And I've always made my money back in 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Like,
wow.
One sub 2 deal can make you that money. And we've done a bunch of those. So we've already, have made our investment back and then some.
Sure. Yeah, like what's your average? So look, guys, obviously the spreads between regular traditional listing property and creative, the spreads on creative are way bigger than traditional listings. So like what's your average spread? Like $30,000-$40,000 on like a average deal?
On the deal. So I want to like give like people a kind of like a definition, right? Because creative finance per se is like subject to seller finance, wraps, getting into those type of structures. But there's also creative ways to do deals. For example, novation is another creative way to do a deal, and wholesaling, which is like a cash offer. So on the wholesale, since it's a cash deal, like, I mean, we had one deal that we made $50K, $40K, $100K.
Yep.
There's no cap to how much money you can make. Now on the creative deals, we've kept some of those. So obviously on those, like we're building our portfolio, and then we have assigned some of those. So it depends. Those usually, since it's a buy and hold, the assignment fees on those are smaller. They're like 10, 15, 20. And compared to a cash assignment, you know, it's all relative, but the fees on that are usually a little bit smaller because people are looking to hold to the property. So you don't make huge assignment fees for the most part. But on the cash, I mean, there's no cap. You could do 100K off of one deal.
That's amazing. So I love it. I just want everybody's mind to start to get wider with listing is not the only way to help a seller. There are so many other different ways. What we're going to talk about today is seller financing and subject to. Okay, so let's talk about again, guys, creative finance. It's a very broad subject with many bullet points underneath it and sub deals underneath it. Creative has subject to seller finance, wholesaling, novation, wraps. These all fall under creative financing. So what we're going to do is talk about subject to and which is basically seller financing. Would you say that goes under one umbrella?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Creative finance, it's like one big umbrella. And within that umbrella, you have, subject to seller finance, lease options, wraps, novations, like all these things and different ways that you can do deals. And then there's a wholesale offer, which is just a cash offer. It's just another way to do deals. So
Okay.
yeah, big
Good.
umbrella.
So we'll talk about under this umbrella of subject to and creative or subject to and seller financing. So when would subject to and seller financing be applicable for like a seller if you're talking to a seller?
Mm-hmm. So subject to and seller finance, I want to start off by giving people like a definition of what each one is. Seller finance, I think, is more known in the real estate space, and people generally understand it. Essentially, the seller is financing the property, the purchase, essentially. So instead of going to like a bank like Wells Fargo, Chase, let's say you're the seller in this instance, you're giving me the loan. Now I'm gonna become the owner now, and what I tell the sellers when I do my presentation is now you're upgraded to the bank. Now you have a note, it's a secured note. I'm paying you every single month. I may or may not give you a down payment. I may or may not give you interest rate. And you could get really creative with it. You could do down payment, interest rate, no interest rate. And it depends on the goal of each person. Like with seller finance, let's say you're someone that has owned many properties for a really long period of time and you want to avoid capital gains, and you know that if you sell your property as an investor, you're going to have a big bill coming up. I can probably present, Daniel, to you an opportunity. Hey, how do we fix this problem of you having to pay a lot of money to the IRS?
Mm-hmm.
It's what if we just spread that out through a period of 10 years, 15 years, and you seller finance to me. Now, you still pay taxes on it, but you avoid that big lump sum. So it could be for someone like that there's like a tax benefit. Someone that doesn't need the money right now, like if there is no end game with the money, like, hey, look, I don't need the money to buy another property. Like, I'm okay. Or someone that is already a landlord and understands the process of getting cash flow every month, but is tired of dealing with the tenant. What if we could flip that and keep you at that same monthly cash flow, but now you're upgraded to the bank? You don't have to deal with toilets. So that's like your ideal seller finance. And there's like a bunch of people that are retiring that don't need the money and just want steady cash flow. Mm-hmm. Landlords that already are landlords and just don't want to deal with the headaches. Someone that doesn't need the money, someone that wants tax benefits. But essentially anybody could qualify for seller finance. Our ideal prospect is someone that has a property paid off if we're just structuring a seller finance note. There's absolutely no loans on the property. It's a paid off property. So when you think seller finance, think paid off. Now, after we go over what subject to is, then we'll talk about how we can combine both strategies and do subject to with seller finance, because I want to give people all the tools.
Okay. All right. So we know what seller financing is and how that is applicable. Hold on one sec. Give me 1 minute. All right, so we know what seller financing is, okay? Let's talk about subject to. When would subject to, let's give a definition. What is subject to?
Subject to is just the name of the type of transaction that we're doing. So essentially, we're buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. What that means is we're keeping the current mortgage in place and we're transferring ownership. So we're keeping the loan, we're transferring ownership. And the loan is going to stay under the past seller's name. So just to make it simple, you're the owner, you have a loan for $400K. I'm buying your house at 123 Main Street. By me taking over the property, buying it subject to, I'm going to keep that mortgage for $400K for 123 Main Street. But now I'm going to become the owner on the property. So we're keeping that mortgage in place.
But why would you do so? Two questions, and I'm sure people out there are thinking something along these lines. Number one, how is that possible to keep someone's mortgage, but you still buy the property? And number two, when would that be? Like when would something like this be? When would that make sense for me to present that to a seller?
Yeah, so it works for any type of seller, because I don't want to give people limitations, but like the ideal prospect, especially in this market, is a property with no equity. So if there's no equity as an agent, if you're sitting there with your seller and you're having that tough conversation of, hey, in order for you to sell the house, you have to bring money to closing and you have to pay, 6% commission plus closing costs. That's a lot of money. So then the seller is having to tell you, look, I don't have the money or I don't want to pay that. And if that's what needs to happen, I can't sell. So someone that's in that type of situation with no equity, this really is the only solution that they have is subject to. So that's one scenario.
Okay. So does the interest rate on the loan that they have come into play with this?
Exactly. So if we're looking at it from why someone would do subject to, one is that there's no equity on the property or there's very little equity where it doesn't make sense. Another one is someone that's behind on their payments. It's a great solution for someone that's in pre-foreclosure because a new buyer would come in and bring those payments current. So it's going to give them a positive boost on their credit and help them save the property. And then it's also going to be a good solution on the buyer because the buyer is taking advantage, hopefully, of a low interest rate or a property that they can turn around and cash flow. So as an investor, let's say I love subject to because there's an interest rate already in place. Hopefully it's an interest rate that's back in the day when they were the good old days of the interest rates.
2020, 2021, yeah. Sure.
So like you don't get those anymore. And hopefully it's a property that I can turn around and it cash flows. And also you, as an investor, it's really difficult to get a loan approved. You have to go through so many loopholes. Even as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, they're asking you, and if you own multiple entities and multiple LLCs, now it's getting more complicated. So I want to avoid that process of going through the bank, and I just want to buy a property that has a loan in place. And it's an easy process. The next day I can rent it right away, and I avoid all of that. So it works for me as well on the investment side of things.
Yeah, so it sounds like from what I'm hearing, and just so everybody knows too, when you're taking out a loan as an investor, it's a non-owner occupied property, so you're at least putting down 20%. And if you're talking about a property that's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, you're talking about $100,000, $80,000, $60,000. Like that's a lot of money. When you have somebody, talk about the down payment aspect of this. So if you're going to do a seller finance or let's say subject to, how do you negotiate like a down payment to the seller to make this, worth their while to do?
It depends on the situation. If I'm being like fully transparent with you, we have done a big majority of them where it's zero money to the seller or very little money to the seller. Because from our point of view on the investment side is we're providing them assistance by helping them sell a house that's unsellable. So if I'm helping you buy a house, sell a house that's unsellable, it has to make sense for me because I'm already over leveraged by buying it a little bit over than what I could as an investor. Sometimes we're buying it right at market value. So we're taking on that risk and we're taking on the payments. But it depends on the situation and what the seller needs. Like we've given the seller $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, depending on the intricacies of the deal. But for example, if it's a deal where like it's barely cash flowing and I'm taking on a big risk, that's where I would come in. What a lot of agents get stuck on is the money. They don't necessarily have a money problem if they have a house they can't sell. They have a house problem because they can't get rid of this house. Right. So can we solve the house problem, right? And the money maybe is irrelevant in this instance because they need to move to Texas to be closer to their kids. And if they don't sell this house, they can't move to Texas. So I'm going to focus on fixing the house problem and not so much on how much money they need because the house is the biggest problem that I can solve.
That's big. And I know as real estate agents, we tend to get tied up in like what, our commission and what, we have to get paid. So this is the only way that we can do it. And if you open your mind and understand and know the nuances of creative, where Aidelys just presented a whole nother option to, I didn't know about this a year ago. I had no idea about subject to a year, not even 6 months ago. I didn't know. But now I present to sellers this option. If I know that if there's very little equity, I'll pay market value for the property if I know that I can take that 2.5%, 3%, 3.5% interest rate. If I can get it, I'll take it. If it makes sense for me to, if I know I'm going to be able to cash flow it. Do you have any of those? Do you see those when you are getting your leads coming in? Do you see any of these properties like that?
Yeah, definitely. The good thing is, which is always I was always confused about it. And now that I've transitioned to doing a lot more investment deals, my mind has shifted and I think like an investor. So we always look for the opportunity. But a lot of times as agents, we're hyper focused on the commission and how can we get a commission on the deal. So we're blind to the other opportunities. I'll give you an example. Like I have agents that are like, look, I went to an appointment and it was a great deal for a fix and flip, but like they didn't want to list it. And then I'm like, okay, so why didn't you buy it? Like, why not you move forward and purchase that property and do the deal? Oh, I don't know, because I was just focused on getting the listing. So the getting the listing is what keeps us a lot of times from doing more deals and making more money. Instead of getting the listing is how can we become more solution oriented and get really good at figuring out the situation and what the seller needs, and then getting really good at recognizing all the different ways that we can add value. And subject to, if you're meeting with a seller, you realize maybe it's a no equity situation where you can come in and buy the property and take it over. Subject to, if building a portfolio is a goal that you have, what a lot of agents think is I have to go sell a lot of houses, get a lot of commissions to then put X% down to buy my first rental property. When in reality, your first rental property is probably one of the next like 4 or 5 appointments that you're going to go on, but you're too blind to see it.
Yeah, and great point. And what I would say too is you just and I was and to an extent still am ignorant to all that creative financing is. I don't know all of it yet, so I'm just learning this as I go. But it has opened my mind to a plethora of options that we have. Subject to seller financing is just one of them. So in my travels, I mean, I'm making calls for 2-3 hours every morning. I talk to so many sellers now that I have a somewhat of an idea of how to present. And we're going to get into this in a minute. How to look at a seller and say, well, I can't list it, so I'm not just going to throw it away. I can do other things with it. So with that, how does an agent? Let's say an agent's going to now want to learn this. How do they present this to the seller?
Yeah, and I think it's just option A, option B, right? Because you still have to give options as an agent. And like, obviously you have a duty and we all have our license and we want to make sure that we're taking care of that but here's option A, Mr. Seller. In order for us to sell the house, here's the reality of the market. There is no equity or there's very little equity. So I know you mentioned your goal was to move to Texas and be closer to your family. If you knew that in order to move to Texas and be closer to your family, it meant that you have to bring $30,000 of closing. Would you do that in order to accomplish that move? Wait for their response. Some people are going to say, yes, I'm okay with paying that much. But like 9 out of 10 are going to say, no, if that's what it takes, I'm not going to sell, or I don't have the money, or like that's not going to work. Or even worse, they're going to tell you, can you list it at a higher price and see what you can offer? A lot of agents do that last one. Oh, yeah, let's try it. No, because then you're not serving them. You're not serving yourself. So here's another option, Mr. Seller. Here's option A. There's this direction, right? Here's option B. Based on what I'm seeing, there is no equity. So what if we could go this direction, right? What if we could either take the payments over subject to myself, or I could position an investor to come in, take over the payments on this property, and you can actually sell the property and it's not going to cost you absolutely anything because the investor is going to pay closing costs and my fee as well. What if we could set that up where you could sell, you can move to Texas, and it's not going to cost you absolutely anything to be able to sell the property? Would you be open to exploring that option? Yes? Okay, great. Let's go into that conversation. Obviously, there's the logistics of like what subject to is and how it works and all of that. So then I would get into a longer conversation about, hey, the investor is going to come in, they're going to close, so they're now going to become the owner. So the loan is going to stay in place. The reason why this benefits you is because there's no commissions, no closing costs. You can sell without having to pay anything. The reason why it benefits the investor is because they're buying a property that already has a loan in place. So if we could secure a buyer where it's not going to cost you anything and you don't have to pay anything and you can move to Texas, would that be worth exploring? And if they say, yes, I'm open to that, great, go into that conversation. And if they say, well, I have additional questions, that's when you have to understand like the objections and the process. And that's where like reach out to me and I can like do the first couple deals with you and walk them through that. So just know you're not alone. I've helped a lot of agents do their first subject to deal, and that's exactly the conversation. And then we dive deeper into objections, the paperwork. Just so you guys know, from like an agent disclosure standpoint, we're very transparent on the process, and there's disclosures that the seller sign and acknowledge about every step of the process. So as an agent, you're never going to have to worry about like this wasn't disclosed or this is coming back to me or my license is at risk. As long as you disclose, and you're very transparent on how the process works, if your seller is okay with it, great. No big deal.
Yeah. And So this is great. This is why I wanted to have you on the pod, because you said something that's very important, and I want everybody to understand that. She said the buyer is going to pay the closing costs and my fee.
Mm-hmm.
That's very attractive to a seller who has no equity in a property, who has no, and there's numerous agents in my market that do what you said, which is, yeah, I'll just list it higher and see if we can get it for sale. You know that property is going to sit on the market and it ain't going to sell, especially in a depreciating market that we're in right now. So having these options and this option to share with the seller, hey, what if we could bring a potential buyer in to take over the payments and get you moved out, and your credit is saved. You're not going to have to go into foreclosure, any kind of short sale, anything like that, and present that option to them. So it's a powerful tool to have in your arsenal to help sellers, again, when you're sitting across from them and maybe you didn't pre-qualify them really well and you don't know how much equity they have, and you're literally finding out at the listing presentation. So because a lot of what you said, Aidelys, gets covered in the pre-qual. So I'm imagining you're pre-qualing these sellers very, very in depth.
Yeah, so I do most of my things is over the phone. So I do virtual deals. I do deals nationwide. So I do all of this over the phone. So for those of you that think you like need to be in front of someone to close a deal, we've done deals all over the United States, and I do my full presentation, everything over the phone. Now, if you're an agent and you're already meeting with them, once you acknowledge like there's no equity, I would say as part of my prequel, like, hey, look, based on what I'm seeing here, there's two potential options. You know, it seems like based on what the marketplace is showing us, there may not be a lot of equity. So I do have another option that I would be open to presenting to you when we get together. Would you be open to an option that's a little bit more creative, where we can have a buyer come in and take over the payments? Oh, how'd that work? Okay, let's do this. Let's get together, and then we dive deeper into that in person. If you feel you need to go in person, I can do this on the phone call and close them and go through everything, but that's just experience. But you can set up an appointment to meet with them in person and do that in person as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the deal that we did together, I just handed it to Aidelys, and then she, took it from there, and we ended up closing it. So it's doable. She's not in guys, I'm in New Jersey. She's in Florida, and we still closed it. So this is completely and totally doable. I highly recommend what she just advised you, which is have somebody like her partner with you and do a couple deals to get your feet wet, to understand what you're doing. And then if you want to, if you have the network and the contacts to do it yourself, then you can. Me personally, I don't want to do a lot of work. So I'll just I do the work with making the phone calls. And then all I do is just hand over the deals to someone like Aidelys, and we work together on it. So that's how we do it. So because you have this skill, Aidelys, you have an advantage over other agents that only offer one option, which is listing. And from what I'm envisioning, it's like, and we went over this today on another phone call. Like, here's your funnel. This is your funnel. Everything goes into that funnel. The listing goes into that funnel. The leads of probate go into that funnel. The leads of circle of influence go in there. Cash option goes in there. Everything goes into that one funnel. And then out of that funnel comes, I can either list it traditionally or I can go the creative finance way. Is that an accurate assessment of how your business model runs?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at our pipeline right now, we have our business is very robust. So we do a lot of different types of deals. So our pipeline right now has like fix and flips, novations, wholesale, cash deals, listings. So we have a lot of different types of deals because we understand exit strategies, which is what we call it. Like, listing is one exit strategy, which is exactly that, a strategy to exit the property, right? But creative finance is another exit strategy, novation, wholesale. So I've just gotten really good at understanding what's going to be a solution based on the situation, and then matching the seller situation with the solution. What a lot of agents do is they have one solution, which is the listing, and they're trying to match the seller into the listing, and they're getting resistance. And a lot of times they're not closing, or they're having investors like me come in and take the deal. But why? Because I'm thinking a little bit more outside the box. Sometimes, and you know it, Danny, they'll tell you, I do not want to list it. I don't want to list it. I don't want to list it. So you're not going to convince someone that doesn't want to list it. Obviously, there's objection handling and things like that, but some people are just dead set that that's not the best fit. So I've gotten really good at recognizing and listening for like those keywords and being like, okay, what's going to be the best fit based on their situation? And then I'm just a matchmaker. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah, it's like pulling different like ammunition out of your like your gun belt. All right, they don't want to list it, and let's use an example. They don't want to list it. They don't have equity, but they need to. But time is not on their side. Immediately in your brain, you probably file through and go, all right, this is a what subject to?
Subject to, yeah.
Yeah.
No equity, like I'll tell you like kind of how my brain works. No equity, automatically subject to. That's going to be the only option that I'm going to present because listing I know is not going to serve them. So automatically that's like an easy one. Where it gets a little bit more complicated is when there is equity because there's multiple things that you can do. You can list it, you could do a cash offer, you could do seller finance. Like there's a lot of different things. But then in that case, motivation is really key. So we ask a lot of great questions. Like my sales process has like number one is like urgency. Does this person need to sell? That's the first thing we need to establish before going into the next step of the conversation. Then we spend a lot of time on motivation. What's the situation? How long has it been going on? What have they tried to do? What's the impact of the situation? Why now? Why did you decide to sell now? What happens if you don't sell the property? Is it an option not to sell? Is it an option to do this and not sell? Like all those really great like questions to figure out what's going on. And then we put them into like a future pacing, which is like, hey, once you sell, what's your life going to be like? How's your life going to improve? So we take them down this journey. And I think it's hard to match a solution if you don't understand the seller's situation. Or if we jump the gun too quick, because a lot of times they're giving us surface level answers and then it takes a lot. And because you're great at like uncovering motivation and like great at presenting that the first answer isn't the real problem. You got to go layers deep. Yeah.
It never is, guys. And we can take a little sidebar and go into pre-qual. Guys, when someone says to you, and this is when I help other agents, when you're calling, it doesn't matter, an expired, for sale by owner, it doesn't matter. Circle of influence, even someone that's looking to, they don't have any equity. When you say, well, is there a particular reason you're looking to sell the property in the first place? And they tell you, I'm looking to go to Florida. That is not the motivation. It's not. It's 3 levels deep from that. My next question from them is, wow, that's interesting. Tell me about that. What is important about getting down to Florida? Well, we have in-laws there. Okay, great. Is that the motivation? No. Keep going. Wow, okay. So you have in-laws down there. Is there something particular that is driving you to be down close to your in-laws? Well, yeah, one of my mother-in-law she's going to need to be put into assisted living, and we need to be down there for that. Boom. There you go. Now you can peel it from there. Wow. So have you been thinking about this move for a long time? What's it going to mean to you and your family to actually be able to sell the property and get down there? What is that going to mean? I mean, guys, these are powerful, like drive them home questions that are building rapport with you and the seller. Doesn't matter if it's traditional listing or what Aidelys is doing, which is creative financing. It doesn't matter. And I'm sure you dive deep into pre-qual when you're asking questions, right?
Yeah, it's the same. And I think agents a lot of times think that the conversation is different. So like, it's really not. The conversation is the same. You're still talking to a seller that needs to sell, and you really need to have an understanding of what's going on. What changes is your awareness around different solutions. As you start to listen for pain points and what they need and what's important, then now understanding all these other strategies, you can pivot on like what you can offer them, but the conversation is the same. You still need to know motivation, time frame, urgency, what happens if they don't sell. And those are all great, powerful questions. So anybody that's listening, that little tidbit that you gave was like incredible.
Yep.
A lot of people stay stuck in the first level and can't go.
Well, it's this. I've noticed this after talking to so many agents that are learning how to really talk to sellers. They're afraid to ask deeper questions. And I don't know why, because it's the secret sauce as to why someone's selling. Everybody's doing something for a different reason. I just want to get to the core of that reason, not the surface level of it. So, yeah, and we got a question here from Rob. If a house is valued at $230K with no mortgage and the owner is looking for $200K, is that enough to work with? It may need a little TLC.
It's valued at 230. Is 230 what it can sell on the market as is, or is it after repair value? Are we talking about a cash offer or creative offer?
Let's find out.
Because there's different, yeah. Because if the house, you can list it for 230, Rob, and you're buying it at 200, that's only 30K. Just closing costs, to buy it and sell it plus holding costs probably will be around 30K at that price point. So it's not enough room to fix and flip it, but you can buy it on seller finance and present the seller a seller finance offer. I wanted Danny to talk about hybrid deals, which is where we combine, just because I want to leave people with like all the tools, because I don't want them to just think it's subject to or seller finance. You can actually combine both. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, so once you guys understand acquisition strategies, which is how you acquire property, which is subject to and seller finance, then you can actually combine both, which is great. So you can actually, with a property, let's use the same example. Mortgage is 400K, but let's say the property is worth 600K. So 400K is the loan, 200 is the equity essentially. So what I can do is I can present to you, Daniel, hey, Daniel, I'm going to buy your house at 600K, take over the payments on that 400K loan, and then I'm going to give you additional payments for the equity. So you could structure a seller finance note on the equity. Now we're combining both strategies. So now we're doing what we call hybrid.
Wow. All right, hang on. So that's in depth. So guys, everybody who's watching, drop in the comments if you understood what Aidelys said, or if you want her to elaborate more on this. What we call this a wrap? It's
a hybrid, yeah.
A hybrid.
We could do a whole nother conversation about reps. I don't want to confuse people because there's acquisition, which is how you acquire the property. And then there's dispositions, which is how you sell the property or what you do on the back end. And a wrap is a disposition strategy. It's what you do once you actually own the property, what you do on the back end. So we're just talking today about how to acquire a deal. We could have like another session about like what you do with the deal once you have it. But I don't want to blow people.
I know. This is a lot of info. So this is great. So everybody who's watching and listening, drop in the comments if this has been helpful, and if you want Aidelys and I to do another talk about what did you how to exit this. You talking exit
strategies? Yeah. Exit
okay.
Strategies. Yeah.
Let me know if you guys want to talk about that, because we will, if you guys are really finding this information powerful. So basically what you're saying is, and to get back to the point, and we'll see what people say in the comments, you're taking what the seller has and from the first loan, we're taking that over and then doing another loan on top.
Yeah.
And there's a spread between the two.
So what you're doing, and there's different ways to structure it. So you can do zero money down on that equity. What we're essentially doing is, this is a different type of seller, right? Because we talked about who qualifies for seller finance, who qualifies for a subject to deal. Let's say that the seller wants 600K and 600K is a number that works for you. We can actually give them 600K creatively, and we can do it by, hey, Mr. Seller, what if I could take over the payments on your current mortgage, and that equity, the difference of the equity, I can actually give it to you in payments. So we would do seller finance. So it's the full 600, 200 which is the equity, is seller finance, 400 is the loan that you're taking over. And that type of seller, like that strategy works for someone that's like, hey, I just want 600K. That could even, you can give them market value as long as the numbers work for you. And when you think about someone that wants to go on the market, if the house is truly worth 600K, they're never going to really make 600K.
Sure.
600 is their perceived equity. Their real equity is 600 minus commissions, minus closing costs. So it's a good kind of presentation for someone that like, I want this certain number, and you can make that number work.
Yeah.
What if I could give you your true 600K and we could do it in this way? So it's just another tool in your tool belt.
What are your average that you see closing costs? So when you say you have to back out, fees and costs, what do you normally see? Is it deal specific, or is there like, all right, it's usually like 10%?
Same closing costs. Like for creative deals, it's the same closing costs as like a regular deal. When I just talked about closing costs, I talked more in regards to like selling a house. Like let's say you're going to list it. You do the net sheet and there's closing costs plus commissions. Essentially, the seller is not going to make their 200K in equity per se. They're going to make, you got to take off 6%. Plus, I always put in like 1 to 1.5% for closing costs. So that's what they're truly going to make. So if you're dealing with a seller where like it's in an area that you really like, and the interest rate on the initial loan is really low, but they want 600K. They're not flexible on price.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it this way. What if I could give you more than you can make with anybody else, but we have to do it this way?
It's such, again, it just sounds like these are just, there's so many different tools that you can have, and that Aidelys has in her arsenal, to where, if she's prospecting and doing lead gen in the morning and connects with someone who's got a scenario, a different scenario than most people, she knows exactly what to say and what program to put them into, and creatively, since the traditional way of listing wouldn't work. This is powerful stuff. I mean, again, you have a real advantage over somebody. And just hearing, I guess, what you're saying, in my mind, presenting it would be in the way of like, yeah, so, and you tell me if this is something that you could work with, is like, hey, so, Mr. Seller, the great news is we have a couple options here at your disposal, and whatever option you choose, I'll support you 100%. We can go the traditional way, which is to just list the property on the open market. You'll have to deal with inspections and appraisals, and it will take longer to sell because you're on the open market, and we're going to have a lender most likely involved. But the end result for you would be a higher price because, again, we're on the open market. Or if time is really important for you, Mr. Seller, which it sounds like from what I'm hearing from you, it is. We can go more, a different route, and you have the option of, we can just give you a cash offer, and again, no inspections, no appraisals. The money will be in your pocket in what's your average time, Aidelys? Like maybe 3 weeks?
30 days or less, yeah.
30 or less, yeah. We'll have the money in your pocket in 30 days or less, and you can wipe your hands clean of the property and move on to your next destination. So based on what you're looking to accomplish and why, which one of these two do you think would serve you best?
I love that. Yeah, that's a great point. Write that down, anybody that's listening. Write that down.
I just came up with that off my head. But
guys, value.
But what it does is it detaches. I'm always trying to detach myself from the result. I don't want them to think that I want to go one way or another. If I think one way, and I'm sure if you see a seller and you're across from them, and you know that one way is going to be better for them than the other, how do you navigate that conversation? Like, that listing's not going to work, but they may be kind of set on that, or you think that this way wouldn't work, and this way would. What's your way of navigating that?
Yeah, and that's the tough conversation as like a salesperson, because we always want them to, even though we say we can detach from it, we never really do, because we always think like this is best for them, but we can't really tell anyone anything. All we can do is, that's why the motivation and time frame questions are really important, because one thing that I do in my negotiations is I'll bring back what they said was important for them. So let's say they want to list it, but I know they need to sell it in 30 days. That's where I would bring back that information that I gathered, and I would say like, hey, look, I know you want this certain number. In order for you to get that certain number, this is the direction you have to take. We have to go on the market. We have to market the property, wait for a finance buyer to come in, and this is how long this is going to take. Now, you mentioned time was really important for you. What is more important for you? Is it getting this done in this time frame, or is it like you really need that number and you want that? Right? Because you mentioned time was important. If time is what's important and you need to close quickly, then we need to bring it back to this option, because this is going to be the best one. And that's all you can do, right? Just kind of use what they gave you to try to get them to self-reflect on why it may or may not be the best choice. We can't tell them. Right. It's always like they got to see it for themselves. That's like the hard thing. Sometimes I'm like, no, this is.
Yes. It's what I like to say, and I've heard this numerous times. You're helping them self-discover through the logic that you're giving them. Yeah. You're not telling them anything. You're giving them and presenting to them logic, facts, and then letting them choose the option that's best for them. But unfortunately, sometimes we know what's best. It's just that, we can't tell them what's best. But we know is, and again, you keep going back to it, and it's important, is pre-qual. Yeah. You keep going back to why somebody's doing what they're doing. It doesn't matter, guys. everybody that's watching, agents that are watching, it doesn't matter what facet of real estate we're talking about. Novation, sub two, traditional listing, cash, it doesn't matter. It all comes back to why they're doing what they're doing. And if you can keep wrapping that back, they're gonna end up working with you in some way because you've dug 3, 4, 5 levels deep on why they're doing what they're doing, not just I'm moving to Florida. Oh, okay, great. So how long how soon do you want to get there? And it's like, no, man, dig on that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And negotiations, like I've done a lot of, I've read a lot of negotiations. I love sales and negotiations and real estate. It's like my passions in life. I'm very like black and white. I love real estate. I love sales. And that's pretty much it. That's like my whole thing. And negotiations, it's when you can find a middle ground where both parties feel like they won. And the only way to get a seller to feel like they've won is that you've given them what they need per the situation, right? So sometimes they're not gonna win based on price, but they're gonna win based on convenience and speed, for example. Maybe they don't win based on price, but you're giving them all these other things. You're closing quickly, you're paying closing costs. They don't have to do the repairs, they can get to their destination sooner. So that's where the win is. They can't have it all perfectly aligned, right? They can't get the most money. And our job as a salesperson, like when we're negotiating, is to get them to see that, right? In order to get this number, this is what needs to happen because an investor needs to be around this range. So if this is what you want, this is the price where it needs to be, right? No, that's too low. I can't take that. I'm okay with waiting X amount of time because this is how much I need to be able to move. Okay, no problem. If that's what's most important for you, let's go this direction. And you just kind of have to identify that. But if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to get to the root of what somebody needs. And then you're doing them a disservice because you're jumping too quick to, whoa, let's do this or let's do that. I also don't want people to get like offer happy where now they're offering things without really understanding if that's the best fit. I'll never put someone into an offer that doesn't match what they need, whether it's seller finance or subject to, because then we're not in alignment and we're not really serving people at a high level. So if they want a list and I know that like they just fixed up their house and it's the most beautiful house and there's not a problem I can solve by buying the property, hey, just go list it. I can either list it or refer it out to someone else.
Yep. Love it. So yeah, this is powerful. And I know we're kind of wrapping up too. Let me ask you this. So for somebody,
I love this stuff. I could be here for 3 hours.
Well, we're going to do another one, guys. Drop in the comments here, guys. Drop in the comments. What subject do you want us to talk about the next time we talk, which will probably either be the next week or the week after? What do you want to hear about? Do you want to hear about exit strategies? Do you want to hear about novations? Do you want to hear about wholesaling? Do you want to hear about the full details of wraps? I mean, go ahead, Aidelys. You can name a couple. Yeah, what's up?
There's a bunch of things. I mean, we could do a session there's just like a wealth of knowledge, like credit finance. There's so many. I could spend a whole session just talking about cash offers and how to do that. But whatever people want to hear about.
Yeah. Drop in the comments, guys.
Yeah, drop it in the comment. Daniel, I'll do anything Daniel asks me just because I love him. So if he wants me here every week, I come hang out with him every week. For those of you guys that want to learn a little bit more, you can follow me. Like my handle on social media on Instagram is this one. I also post a lot of like tips and things that people can learn from. So you'll get a lot of free value just from going on my social media. And I also run a community where you guys can learn more about how this works. Daniel has done a deal with me. You can partner with me and do a deal with me. So now that you're hearing this information, don't get overwhelmed. Just know that you have to know just this much. And there's people that know it at a higher level and can do the first couple of deals with you. That's how I started. The first deal, I reached out to someone that had done already a lot more deals. And that's how I learned. You don't have to figure things out. You just have to know just a little bit.
Yeah, guys, she said it, man. Just get into proximity with people that are doing the part of creative financing that you want to do. Get around them. Get in their org. Just pick their, you know what I mean? Pick that. I mean, I'm not going to get into I had a guy from Portugal that wants to partner with me. Right. Yeah, because he's been following me here and says, I follow you and I love what you put out and I want to be around you. I want to learn from you, guys. Get around people that are be like this guy. Get around somebody like Aidelys. Get around her. Join her community. She's doing these deals every week. That's who you need to be. So that leads me to this. And it sounds like they're all dynamite. So what we'll do, Adele, is we'll pick a subject because it doesn't sound like everybody has zoned in on what they want to hear about. We'll do it for the next one. We'll pick a good subject. So let's say someone's an agent, all right, and they want to learn, they want to add these skills to their repertoire, and just be able to be more to a seller. What's the best way, the most effective way that they could to begin with? Where would you begin if you're them? Which part of creative finance you think would be the most the most effective for them to get their career off the ground in this way?
It depends what the challenges that they're coming up against. Because the way that my brain thinks is like, what are the challenges that I'm experiencing and how can I come up with a solution? So for example, if they're coming up across a lot of people that have no equity, then that's where I would start, because then I have a solution for the problems that I'm facing. And I think that's going to be for a lot of people, since of the condition of the market that we're in and how things are moving. I think the no equity thing is going to be like the first thing. So subject to, I would say, start there. Seller finance, a lot of people have some sort of understanding of seller finance, but there's like a whole nother sector of how it's done and how it's structured. But I would just start by asking their seller. So in our pre-qual, because I have the same pre-qual as you, there is a question there that says, like, would you be open to financing the property to the buyer, or do you just want to pull all the cash out? Start there, because that gives you an idea.
I love that question. I ask that a lot. I say, hey, so I'm aware, so you mentioned to me that there's a mortgage on the property, or you mentioned to me that it's free and clear. So let me ask you, Mr. Seller, are you open to acting like a bank, holding a note for a buyer? Or are you just interested in getting all of your cash at the closing table when we're there signing papers? That's my drive home close to them. So that's a great question to ask.
And they may be open to that. But I think it's recognizing before you go on the appointment what the opportunity is going to be that you're going to present. So if it's a fully paid property where it's a landlord that wants to avoid capital gains, and that's the biggest objection that they're giving you, seller finance. And then I would have a little bit of an understanding of what it is. And then you could partner with someone like me to help you with the back end stuff. That's like the paperwork, transaction coordinating, making sure all the legal stuff is done to the T, so you're protected and your client is as well.
Yes.
But just start there. What problem are you facing continuously, or what objection do you keep getting? If it's the cash, where like every appointment you go on, like probates, they're talking to 10 other investors, then you better learn how to present cash offers, because that's the biggest roadblock from you getting to like that next goal that you have for the month or the year or the quarter.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I used to anyway, because I was flipping property back in like 2019, 2020. But I don't, those buyers those buyers like kind of went by the way, like the COVID crushed them, because they were very leveraged with rentals. And when you couldn't rent, you couldn't evict, because these renters aren't paying the mortgage, their rent, which meant they couldn't pay their mortgage. These guys went belly up. So that's a big reason, guys, why I just called Aidelys. I had a deal, we have another one that we're talking about right now. So I'm not looking to to reinvent the wheel here. She's doing what I'm learning, so I'm just going to her. I'm not looking to try and do things on my own to make more money. I'm fine. There's plenty of money on planet Earth for everybody to be happy. So that's why I'm partnering with her. So let's do this. I know we're going to wrap it up, come to a close, but we will have more time next time, because we had some technical difficulties today. Yay. But it's cool. We figured them out, guys, because that's what we do. We're solution-oriented. We ain't problem-oriented.
Yes.
So how does everybody get in touch with the one, the only Aidelys?
Aidelys. So just my social media handle on Instagram is the same. It's Aidelys_real estate. So it shows up here. YouTube people can see it too, right? The YouTube.
Everybody can see it.
Yeah, follow me and send me a message. DM me invest, and then my team will send you back scripts that we use. So I'll give you some freebies just for jumping on. We'll give you free scripts that we use, the free contracts that we use for creative finance. So I'll give you guys scripts, contracts, and a free training of 7 steps to get your first investment deal, just to leave you guys with some value.
I love that. Love that. I mean, look, if you're an agent and you're looking to learn, you're trying to learn this skill, you're looking to find other skills to learn. It doesn't need to even be creative. You just want to get good with scripts. You want to know what to say to a seller when you're talking to them. I mean, look, leave a comment, reach out to us. We'll have a private conversation with you guys. We'll get you moving in the right direction, whether it's expired for sale by owner, probates, circle of influence, creative, cash offers. Reach out to us, man. We're here to help. We're here to serve you guys. You can DM on my channel, or you can go on my Instagram. I have a link to a bunch of different websites that we have for brokers and agents that we help out everybody with. So
Daniel's a man. Daniel is a man, my partner. And here we are, full circle. So he was a part of like why I'm here, because he was there role playing with me in the morning, practicing my script. So that confidence that I built. So I'm excited.
This is true. Yeah. Well, listen, it really is full circle. I did not anticipate interviewing Aidelys and thinking that she's going to be this creative finance investing guru. And she has been. She took knowledge, applied the knowledge, and then put capital behind it. And now look what she's doing. But I want you guys to all understand, you can do it too.
Yeah.
Like maybe they need to hear it from you, Aidelys. Like, you tell agents and everybody who's watching that this is not something that's exclusive to like you and I.
Yeah, don't call me a guru. I'm just like anybody else. I'm just an agent who like was doing the agent thing and then had an idea. Hey, what if I started doing the investing thing too? And then I got education and I got support and I got around people that were doing it. And I was consistent. So there's consistency is a part of it. Education is a part of it. And then patience. Like nothing good ever comes. Like there's that saying that like, it's hard for a reason and it takes time sometimes for a reason. But once you figure it out and it opens up this whole world of possibilities for you. Like I'll tell you, and not to like brag about me or my business or where we are, but right now, a lot of agents unfortunately are struggling and we're having our best year yet because as the market starts to pivot, people are looking for solutions and we're really great at giving people solutions. So we're never going to run out of deals. We constantly have opportunities coming in. So instead of looking at like, oh, I can't do this or that's too hard, get around people that are doing it, get education, and then just rinse and repeat. Same thing as like the pre-qual, right? Like it took you practice to get really good. And now you can do it with your eyes closed. You're like a superstar. Same thing with your listing presentation. I mean, your presentation is like sharp, but you practice it and you are consistent. The same thing is true with this type of thing that I'm doing on the creative side. I learned about it, I practiced, and then I just had 100, 200, 300 conversations. And by conversation number 301, I was starting to sound a little bit better. I didn't just wake up one day and like, I knew this and I'm a magician. It was just practice.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people, when they see success around them, they think that it's instant and it's not. I always compare us to athletes. People only see the athletes, let's use football, Sundays at 1:00. They don't know everything that those guys are doing, Monday to Sunday. You have no idea. It's practice, it's film study, it's what you put in your body, it's sleep. Guys, it's like a life. So that's when she's talking about practice, that's what we do. Every day, 7:30, 11:30. And then I actually had a partner, Chris Camacho. Yeah. Chris and I would do objections at 7:10 in the morning. So I was role playing 3 times a day, 7:10, 7:30, 11:30. So it's like, but you're constantly practicing your craft. So now, yes, when I get somebody who wants to see me, immediately when they say, yeah, I'll agree to come see you, you can come see me, right out of my mouth is great. So just, before we come out, want to have a couple quick questions to ask to make sure that when we do come out and meet with you, we can really just serve you best and maximize our time. So the main reason you're looking to sell your property is, and then I go right into the pre-qual.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just like this. So Aidelys is the same.
It's the same process. So there is a script essentially, and then there's objections that you have to handle. And then you have to understand the process to be able to navigate the objections. So it's the exact same process. The reason why I've had so much success in this area is because I had the habits and the principles already of like what it takes to be successful in the residential space, because I got it from being around people like you, being around people like Aaron. So when I started the investment space, I was like, okay, that it's the same thing. What's the script? What are the objections? How can I understand more of like the back end process so I can answer like high level questions? But I still have my objections in front of me. I practice them, I role play, exact same thing. Nothing's different. Yeah.
That's what it takes, guys. So if you're an agent out there and you're thinking you want to start to get involved with creative and maybe learn subject to, learn how to wholesale, learn how to present a cash offer, get with Aidelys, get inside the community, get with us, reach out to her, DM her. She's one of the most giving people on planet Earth. She's here giving you guys all her information on how she became the person that she is with creative. So we're and in the Elite Builders community, guys, we're here. We're here to just give you guys just eons and eons of value. And she's giving you her free scripts. I'll give you my scripts. If you guys want my prequel that I have, it's 10 or 11 questions. And I've just shrunken it down. And if you want it, just DM me or drop in the comments that you want my scripts and I'll give them to you.
Good stuff. Yeah.
We just give them to you. So awesome. So your handle for Insta is right there. It's Aidelys_real estate. Is there any other platforms that you're on that someone can connect you with?
I'm everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I'm just getting into doing YouTube. I'm actually following your path as a YouTube king. But I'm more active on Instagram. And so if you message me on Instagram, message me invest, I will reply and then I'll send you over the scripts and all the goodies. And just follow me there. I share a lot of good tips, sales, and things like that.
Awesome. I love it. And then guys, for same here. If you like the pod, just drop in the comments what you thought. I'm on Instagram. I'm here, obviously, on all over the socials. Just my name, just at Daniel Masrobian. And in my link in the Instagram, there's we have a couple websites and we have the Do More Deals Summit coming up. So let's do this before we go. Let's talk a little bit about. We had two gentlemen, so Jose Luis Morales, you know him, and then we had another gentleman, Abel. They're both going to do over $2 million a year, separate. Each one of them is going to do that $2 million a year from listing and from creative, both of them. So if that's something that you guys want to be around, I have extra tickets for the Do More Deals Summit in January. I bought 4 of them. I will be happy to bring somebody there. If you're interested in coming and you're not with EXP, drop me a line. Send me a link, and we'll have a discussion about it. Pace Morby's going to be there. He was there last year. He is the king of creative financing. He's who I'm learning from. You're in Pace's community. I mean, these are all people that are going to be at the Do More Deals Summit, and I know Aidelys will be there too.
Come say hi.
It's in your backyard.
Come say hi.
Yeah. So this was awesome. What we're going to do, guys, is Aidelys and I are probably going to do this series maybe like once every other week. So again, if there's something you want to hear about, you can drop in the comments. Let me know. Let Aidelys know when you reach out to her, and we'll make that the subject next time. Yeah. So awesome. This was great. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. And all right, guys, we're going to hit you next time.
Appreciate you, Daniel.
See ya.
Bye.